Middlesbrough are set to face Blackburn Rovers this weekend, and Kim Hellberg confirmed the news that fans were fearing about Hayden Hackney. Now, Hackney went off injured during the match against Bristol City last weekend. Of course, that was a 1-1 draw at the Riverside Stadium, a match where Bristol City secured that last-minute equaliser, a real sucker punch for Middlesbrough in the context of their promotion battle. Thankfully, results elsewhere went our way. But certainly one of the most concerning sights of the day was seeing Hayden Hackney hobble off. He picked up an injury in the build-up to Leo Castledine's goal, went down, received treatment, came back on the pitch, but then didn't last too long as he ended up going down once again before being replaced by Alex Gilbert in the second half of that game. Now, rumours have been swirling on social media over the last few days about the extent of Hayden Hackney's injury, saying that it could be weeks that he's out for, and Kim Hellberg was asked about it in Friday afternoon's press conference before that match against Blackburn Rovers. He spoke about Hayden Hackney's injury, and he said that basically, not verbatim, but he was saying that the injury perhaps isn't as bad as what some people feared. He confirmed that it was a calf injury, and that he could potentially be involved against Blackburn. He could be involved in some way, shape or form, even if it's part of the match day squad, but he could also be out for the next couple of weeks. Now, of course, Middlesbrough are playing Blackburn on Saturday afternoon. We then have nearly a full 2 weeks before we return to action with that crucial Easter Friday, Good Friday match against Millwall at the Riverside Stadium. So for Middlesbrough fans, they will be praying that this injury to Hayden Hackney isn't too serious. Even if he doesn't feature against Blackburn this weekend, the hope is that he will be back and fit and ready to feature in that match against Millwall. Now, if he was to be injured against Blackburn, it probably isn't the end of the world, really. I think Blackburn are they're a side who are struggling. It's a match where Middlesbrough will go into it as clear favourites. There's been a lot of talk about how Middlesbrough are perhaps better away from home at the moment compared to how we're performing at home. So if Hayden Hackney doesn't play, then you'd imagine that with players like Riley McGree, with Aidan Morris, with Alan Brown in there, we should have enough quality in the middle of the park to be able to get through that game. But the match against Millwall is a completely different proposition. It's going to be a real cliched 6-pointer in terms of the promotion battle. So we really do need Hayden Hackney back for that one, particularly with Riley McGree, Alan Brown and Aidan Morris all away on international duty in the days before. It's going to be touch and go for some of those players as to whether they're going to be back in time to feature in that match on Good Friday. So we're having Hayden Hackney in there and having him fit to play at least some part, even if we could only get an hour out of him, will be a really, really big boost for Middlesbrough going into that one. But certainly against Blackburn, touch and go, probably feels unlikely that he'll be involved for that match at Ewood Park, but certainly for Middlesbrough fans, it will be a little bit relieved, I guess, that it's not a really serious issue that's going to keep him out for weeks and weeks, because as we know, time is of the essence right now. With this promotion battle really starting to heat up, we need him back as soon as possible because he is such an important player for this Middlesbrough team. Kim Hellberg also provided an update on 3 other players who've been missing of late, in Alex Bangura, Alfie Jones and Sammy Silvera. And now the 3 of them have been missing for a little while. He was asked by Scott Wilson of the Northern Echo for an update on those 3 players as to whether they were likely to be back fit in time for Blackburn or after the international break. And he was saying that Alex Bangura is back in full training. He's been back in full training this week, so they're reading between the lines. That means that he could potentially be involved in some way, shape or form against Blackburn this weekend. Of course, he won't be fully fit. There will be a case of managing his minutes and that sort of thing, but it does sound like he would be in contention for the match against Blackburn. Alfie Jones and Sammy Silvera won't be fit for the match against Blackburn, but they are on the right track. They're getting better, is what Kim Hellberg said. He hopes to have them back in full training for the second week of the international break. They have been training recently, but they've been training away from the team, so they haven't been involved in the full first team training, just kind of doing some light work on the grass, as the other managers say in their press conferences. So those 2 players are on the right track, not likely to be involved against Blackburn. I don't think they'll be ready for that one, but Kim Hellberg is hoping, he was saying that the aim is that they'll be involved in the second week of training during the international break, and then maybe we might be able to start seeing them back in contention over the Easter weekend. Of course, we've got Millwall on the Friday, we've got Swansea on the Monday. It's a really, really important weekend in the context of Middlesbrough's push for promotion. So to have these players back in contention, Alfie Jones will be a really big player to have back in there with his leadership and his towering presence in defence. And Sammy Silvera, I think we've really missed him as well. I think he's someone who's offered something really, really different this season for us, particularly on that left-hand side, whether he's playing as a left wing-back, whether he's playing slightly further forward. I think fans have really warmed to Sammy Silvera this season and what he's offered Middlesbrough. So to have him back in contention, even just as a squad player, someone who can come on in the second half of games and offer something a little bit different, would be absolutely massive. So not involved against Blackburn this weekend, but fingers crossed they could be in contention for the week after against Millwall. Now, the other really interesting line that I thought came from the other press conference with Kim Hellberg came right at the very end of it. It was Craig Johns from Teesside Live who asked about it. And he was talking about Tommy Conway, talking about his impact in attack. And of course, Kim Hellberg's been getting so many questions over the last few weeks about Middlesbrough's attack in general, our inability to put the ball in the back of the net. And it's a real theme at the moment, the fact that Middlesbrough aren't able to kill off these sorts of games. But it was really interesting hearing Kim Hellberg talking about Tommy Conway and how impressed he is with him as a Middlesbrough player. Now, we know that Tommy Conway is someone who is very highly regarded by Kim Hellberg. He was really highly regarded by Rob Edwards and by Michael Carrick before that, to be fair, as well. It's all about his work rate, the efforts that he puts in for the team, his movement. They're all really, really important factors. Now, of course, this season, scoring goals hasn't really been his strong point. Tommy Conway has struggled in front of goal. His goal scoring output for a player who's been pretty much fit all season. You can't even really blame injuries or long spells out of the team. It's been quite poor from Tommy Conway. But Kim Hellberg was talking about him and explaining exactly what he likes about him as a player for Middlesbrough. Now, he was saying that basically, again, this isn't word for word, but he was explaining that basically when Middlesbrough are playing against a side who play with a slightly high line, he was saying about like when you play against a side like Preston, someone like that where he's got space, and Tommy Conway's movement as a centre forward can be really, really dangerous. Playing off the shoulder of the defender, working into those little spaces, that pace and movement that he does have can be really, really dangerous. Now, what Kim Hellberg was explaining was that doesn't really happen when you're playing against sides who are sitting slightly lower, teams who are offering Middlesbrough a lot less in the way of space. There's not a lot of movement for, or not a lot of space for movement with passes or running in central areas. And they're kind of areas where Tommy Conway tends to struggle as a centre forward. But what he has been particularly pleased with Tommy Conway is the way that he's sort of adapted his game to playing as a forward who comes in off the left. It means that Tommy Conway does have the opportunity to get on the ball. He has more space to run with it, which is his strength, more space to run off the shoulder of defenders, combined with other players. And so what he's saying is that when Middlesbrough are coming up against these games, these sort of more frustrating kind of fixtures that we've seen at home in the last few weeks against Bristol City and Oxford and these sorts of games, that's why Tommy Conway tends to be playing out towards the left. It means that he's getting more opportunity to get on the ball. He's having more opportunity to run at defenders and show what he's capable of, and that's why he's not playing as a sort of out-and-out number 9. Now, of course, that does have a detrimental impact on his goal-scoring output, but Kim Hellberg, of course, he knows what he's doing. He really is a tactical master, you could call him. He's a sort of a bit of a data nerd, a tactics nerd, whatever you want to call it. He does know what he's doing in that department, and so it does sort of make sense why he's looking to play Tommy Conway in that role off the left. Now, what does that mean for Middlesbrough's attacking exploits? The fact that we need to put the ball in the back of the net, well, it doesn't really solve things because we do need someone in that central area to put the ball in the back of the net. Even if Tommy Conway is drifting out to the left and playing in that sort of role, we do still need someone in a central area to put the ball in the back of the net, to play that number 9 role and to be that kind of poacher in that area. So whether that's Darren Strelec, whether that's Cali Sen, remains to be seen. I think against Blackburn, he is likely to be given more space and more time to move in those central areas. So we could see Tommy Conway playing as more of a traditional number 9 against Blackburn. Of course, he scored that absolute worldie against Blackburn last season, which was a brilliant strike. So this game might be a little bit different. But yeah, just a really interesting point there from Kim Hellberg on why Tommy Conway is playing in the way that he is, why he's so pleased with him, and while despite the fact that he's not scoring these goals, he is still very, very pleased with his output. So definitely worth checking that out. Check out Middlesbrough's live stream of Kim Hellberg's press conference. It's on YouTube, so you can check that out to hear everything that Kim Hellberg had to say ahead of the match against Blackburn. They're the points that I thought were the most interesting from the game itself. So I'm really interested to hear what you thought of Kim Hellberg's press conference, what you think going into the match against Blackburn, and whether you think that Middlesbrough can get that crucial victory to just sort of stave off the pressure, stave off Millwall and Ipswich, who are really kind of clipping at our heels a little bit. Of course, they play each other on Saturday lunchtime as well. So let me know what you think going into this weekend. Drop into the comments below. If you've enjoyed this, hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow if you're listening on the podcast platforms as well. We are now on Spotify and Apple Music, so do check them out. Check us out there as well. And hopefully we'll be back soon to assess a really positive victory, a stress-free afternoon against Blackburn Rovers. I'll catch you later.